It should be no surprise for long-term viewers to know that I'm quite the fan of Llamasoft's games. I've covered plenty of them over the years, having gotten plenty of joy out of that process. Not only that, I can't deny that Jeff Minter's approach to game design has given me more than a spark of inspiration for my own tinkering over the years as well. Which makes the core question of the documentary Heart of Neon so damn intriguing to me. This is one project I've been looking forward to for quite an age, quite a long time, and now that it's finally seeing a wider digital release, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to reflect a bit on it, having watched it, and highlight why I think it's one that you might want to go and check out. And that's regardless of whether or not you're a fan of Jeff's games or his other works, as it really tries to answer the question of how has he been able to survive for so long in and around this game space. Heart of Neon explores Jeff's career through two threads. Obviously, the first is of his games, starting with those early 8-bit days where he's tinkering with the pets and whatnot, through to Llamasoft's more recent output. If you're expecting a one-on-one exploration of each game in the library, you might be disappointed here. But then again, that's what Digital Eclipse's Llamasoft the Jeff Minter story is all about, which uses pieces originally filmed for Heart of Neon in its documentary sections. Now, where that, of course, wraps up with the release of Tempest 2000, Heart of Neon manages to go beyond Jeff's time for Atari, covering the highs of post-2000 releases like Space Giraffe, TXK and Polybius, and the lows of Llamasoft's foray into games for iOS, and the legal stoushes in the wake of TXK's release. A particular highlight for me was the peek into Unity, the cancelled project Jeff was working on with Lionhead in the early 2000s. Seeing some gameplay footage and hearing Jeff talk about his goals for it, and I couldn't help but feel a little sad for the lost potential of that project.
I think I'd been a bit over-ambitious in the design, really. It certainly needed more than one person to be working on it for it to work, and I managed to get some quite nice demos of various scenes going, but I never really got the whole genetic stuff working the way I wanted it to work.
Now the low points, those kind of feed into the second thread of Heart of Neon, Jeff's work with light synthesizers. Like with the games side of his career, you're not going to get the in-depth exploration here on the earlier projects. But again, you could play with those, at least the 8-bit ones, inside Digital Eclipse's documentary, so you could get that itch satisfied too if you need it there. The real interesting point of this movie, this documentary, is where the two threads intertwine with each other. Jeff's experience coding games in the 8-bit days, leading to those initial projects like Psychedelia and Color Space, and the subsequent later projects based around the neon tech that was originally designed as the Xbox 360's visualizer, feeding back into games and using all those effects in there. Space Giraffe being the prime example, sort of the peak example of that idea at work. The way this highlights the challenges of keeping a career in games aloft through those ups and downs is really important. It's something Jeff himself remarks on, and how alternating between games and the life synth work has been important to keeping those creative juices flowing through those challenging moments. When he's been a bit burnt out on the game side of things, he could tinker with the light synth stuff for a bit. I think that's an important thread. But what else ties those two together for me is the power of community. It's truly inspiring for me just knowing that finding your people and the power that has as a creative. Visible support or active support could really mean the difference between someone being able to hold on and have the drive to reach their magnum opus, or to down the tools and leave it all behind because it's just not worth it. I mean, without that community support, we wouldn't be getting the amazing modern projects that Llamasoft are putting out these days, let alone the next version of the live synth that he's teasing about. That looks really amazing. I don't know if I'm ever gonna play around with it, I don't know, but I just amazed seeing the stuff. You get some snippets of it at the end, and it's a sign of beauty. Heart of Neon isn't just a celebration of Jeff Minter's career and that growing of Llamasoft, even though it's still a two-person outfit, but it's also something I found that can inspire at least those of us in the trenches, those of us who are making games in sub-capacity on the side, and a way that it is a sign that it is possible to survive. It may not be thriving, but you could survive it, you could go down your own path, even against the background of the big corporate industry. The kind which is slowly suffocating things. We're dealing with AI nonsense. Forever games that only want you to play those games and only those games. And the homogenization which has been happening as gaming tries to be this big monolithic juggernaut, trying to homogenize itself for the mass market. Ultimately, it's all a bit out of my wheelhouse here, but as someone who has followed Heart of Neon for a while, I've backed the physical release over on Kickstarter, and I've been supporting Paul's work on the project on Patreon for a good while now, so I am biased, but it is something I've felt it was important. I think this is a project that I think is worth watching. And honestly, if it doesn't want you to grab a joystick or gamepad and get a craving for some Llamasoft style zapping afterwards, I would truly be shocked at that. Because it's absolutely something that I've been doing since I've sat down to watch it again, is really start cranking up some of those games for myself. Or it might just be that it's got you wanting to pull out some programming tools and get making games again. And hey, your own slice of manic minter mayhem is not a bad thing to be inspired by. And if it's one thing we could use more of in games, it's the individualistic spirit that we all have as creators. Something really important to think about. But I'm going to call that my little mic drop, and just wanted to say thanks for watching, and I do hope you go check it out. I'll have links to where the digital release of Heart of Neon can be purchased, and I reckon you should do it. So thanks again for watching.